G'day, it's Rowan from Elfshot Design. This video is not going to be a how-to, but a bit of a walkthrough. I recently had really bad shoulder pain down my left neck and shoulder. And I realised because I sit down for a living, I was looking at one screen more than the other. I usually have two screens. So I became obsessed with ergonomics, and it made me really realise, if you're a carpenter or some kind of a tradesman, then you invest money in your tools and you also invest money in your safety and health. So for me, sitting at a computer, making sure I'm sitting ergonomically and I've got good equipment and a good environment to work in, very important. So I decided to renovate my home studio because I do quite a bit of work from home. I want to step you through some of the things I did in case you're doing something like that and you might get some ideas. I've taken some Ikea cabinetry and just done a few things to make them a little bit more interesting, a little bit more inviting to work in here. I also want to talk about how I'm using lighting to make it a solid transition from work time to playtime. Let's start with the desk. I purchased a sit-stand desk from Ikea. It's got a switch with a wireless chip. This means I can sync it to an app to set height presets. Once these presets are set, you don't need to run the app unless you want to modify the presets. I made metal frames for the speakers, which sit on top of the cupboard and drawer cabinets. The height is very intentional, so the sound is directly parallel to my ears when I'm in a seated position. For many years I used two screens, but I feel you still tend to favour one over the other. I became obsessed with symmetry, so I prefer one big monitor now. There's room for my MIDI keyboard to slide out from under the monitor platform. That platform will support a wider monitor if I decide I can afford one later. I fabricated this bracket from scrap metal. It's got rubber strips and felt to prevent scratching. It simply sits over the edge of the monitor platform to support my work laptop. The height has been calculated so my work machine is as high as possible without obstructing the main screen. There's also just enough room above the MIDI keys. The USB switch lets me use the same keyboard and mouse for both my work or home machine. Just press the button and my keyboard does a nice little colour dance, so I know it's ready to use on the other machine. I forged a stand for my studio headphones. They're nicely within reach without lying around on the desk. I use a combination of speakers and headphones for music producing. One last thing, my home machine is really heavy. I've got it on a trolley so it's easy to roll out and access the back. Now let's talk about the cabinets. I hope it's obvious, but I'm not sponsored by Ikea or anyone else. Their cabinets make quick renovations really easy, and you can use some tricks to make them not look so Ikea-ish. I'll talk more about this in a sec. I've used optional glass shelves too, which allows the ambient light to shine through. The doors only have glass on the upper half, so I can hide boxes of crap underneath. Many people who work from home struggle with the boundary between work time and playtime. I'm using two lighting modes to address this issue. It's a bit of a psychological trick, but it works well. The concept is that for work time, I've got bright lights. People can see me clearly in video meetings and my eyes are not strained. But then after work, I simply flick a switch, the bright lights go off and are replaced by soothing ambient lighting. The Ikea cabinets light up, highlighting my personal trinkets, and an ambient bar of coloured light adds an emotive feel to the room. The Downlights are really easy to install and you don't need an electrician. They have plugs that click into a power bank that can take up to 9. This simply plugs into the wall. I did, however, get my electrician to add a third switch to the main light switch. This simply runs to the power point that my Downlight power bank is connected into, so I can easily change the lighting from a convenient location. The actual power point is hidden in a cupboard. Okay, so the other things I've done to make this room look less Ikea-ish. I bought a sheet of hardwood from the local hardware and run 100mm strips along the top edge of the cabinets. I figured out how I could chop it up to use some for that, as well as a shallow bench top and the speaker frames. Using the same timber in different places helps tie the room together so the overall design feels intentional. There are two feature walls with custom artwork. The mural was just a freehand job using some leftover latex house paint. The lines and tree silhouettes are very simple but effective with the lighter colours toward the back and darker silhouettes in the foreground. The artwork behind the instruments is an acrylic pour over 16mm MDF. I mixed various colours with Floetrol. Some had a silicon-based lubricant to create the cells. The paint was then smeared vertically across the entire board with strips of paper towel glued to a long scrap of wood. I applied heat with a blowtorch to accentuate the cells. Pretty happy with how it all turned out. It's definitely a more inviting environment. I'm much more likely to spend time in here now, and I've been getting back into a bit of music writing, which is good. So thanks for sticking around. Hope to see you back in the workshop for the next one.